Imagine you're Russia. You're sitting in Moscow sipping tea, or, let's be honest, vodka straight from the bottle, and plotting your next move. You've got plenty of neighbors, but which one makes you lose the most sleep? Not Latvia, whose whole army could probably fit on a single Moscow bus. Not even Finland, with its endless forests, hot saunas, and enough shells to turn St. Petersburg into a winter resort. No, the neighbor that makes Russia flinch at every move is Poland, and Moscow has very good reasons for that. A history of rivalry. For centuries, Poland and Russia have been locked in a relentless rivalry, more hate than love. Back in the 1600s, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth wasn't just a local power, it was a regional superpower. At one point, Polish troops stormed Moscow, sat in the Kremlin, and basically said, "Ours now." For Russia, that humiliation burned into memory and was never forgotten. From then on, the two clashed endlessly. Poland was carved up in the partitions by Russia, Prussia, and Austria. In 1939, Stalin joined forces with Hitler to rip Poland apart once again. After World War II, the Red Army liberated Poland, which really meant staying for 40 more years. To Moscow, Poland has never been just a neighbor. It has always been the buffer zone, the battlefield, and the stubborn rival that refuses to disappear. Geography. Poland's blessing and curse. Geography hasn't been kind to Poland. The country sits on the North European plain, a vast, flat expanse that history has treated like an invasion highway. Napoleon stormed through it. Hitler's tanks blitzed across it. Every Russian general knows that route like the back of their hand. And then there's the Suwałki Gap, a narrow 65-kilometer stretch connecting Poland to Lithuania. On the map, it looks small, but strategically, it might be the most critical piece of land in Europe. If Russia advanced from Belarus toward Kaliningrad, it could sever the Baltics from the rest of NATO. For Poland, defending this gap is not optional. It's existential. For NATO, it's the difference between holding together and falling apart. Poland's military transformation. But here's the twist. Poland today is nothing like Poland in 1939. This time, Warsaw isn't waiting to be flattened. It's bulking up, modernizing, and buying every advanced weapon it can get. Right now, Poland fields about 170,000 active soldiers, with plans to grow to 300,000, larger than Germany, larger than France, and about equal to the British and French armies combined. Unlike some neighbors, Poland doesn't just promise to spend on defense, it actually does. More than 4% of its GDP goes straight to the military. That's over double NATO's target, and even higher than the US. And the shopping list? Massive. From South Korea, 1,000 K2 Black Panther tanks and 672 K9 howitzers. From the US, 250 Abrams tanks, 96 Apache helicopters, 32 F-35 stealth fighters, and a pile of HIMARS launchers. Add Patriot missile batteries, Sky Sabre systems, and FA-50 jets, and Poland is shaping up to have one of the most modern and heavily armed land forces in Europe. Poland versus Germany. Now compare that to Germany. Europe's economic giant has about 183,000 troops and fewer than 300 operational Leopard 2 tanks. Poland, once all deliveries arrive, will have close to 1,500 modern tanks. 5 times as many. At this pace, Poland won't just have a bigger army than Germany. It could soon outsize Germany, France, and the UK combined. For a country of 38 million people, that's not just impressive, it's transformational. Poland versus Russia's Western Military District. And what about Russia? On paper, its army is huge. But zoom in on the Western Military District, the forces that actually border Poland, and the picture shifts. Before the Ukraine war, about 300,000 Russian troops were stationed there. After 2 years of heavy losses in Ukraine, that number is severely depleted. Russia has lost over 2,500 tanks, many of them T-72s and T-80, the same Soviet-era models Poland once used. The irony? Poland is replacing its old Soviet stock with brand new Western gear, while Russia is dusting off T-55s from storage and sending them to the front. Poland and Ukraine, the lifeline. Then there's Ukraine. Since 2022, Poland has been Kiev's most important ally. Warsaw has sent tanks, jets, howitzers, and billions in aid. Over 1.5 million refugees have been taken in, while Polish roads have become NATO's supply lines. Every Javelin, every Leopard, every HIMARS bound for Ukraine passes through Poland. To Moscow, Poland isn't a neighbor. It's NATO's warehouse, logistics hub, and delivery network rolled into one. Energy and security. For decades, Russia wielded gas as a political weapon. Poland saw it coming. They built LNG terminals, linked to Norway's pipelines, and pushed pushed renewables and nuclear projects. By the time Moscow shut off Europe's gas, Poland had already secured alternatives. While Germany scrambled, Poland barely flinched. For Warsaw, energy independence is defense. Another reason Russia struggles to pressure them: cyber and hybrid warfare. Modern conflict isn't only about tanks. Russia tests Poland constantly with cyber attacks, propaganda, and hybrid tricks, like Belarus sending waves of migrants to the Polish border in 2021. But Poland pushed back hard. If there's one thing Poles are known for, it's digging in when challenged. That resilience is exactly what makes them so difficult for Moscow to break. Politics and NATO. Politically, Poland has made it a mission to be Europe's loudest anti-Russian voice. They pressure NATO for more deployments, push the EU for harsher sanctions, and remind everyone that they had warned about Russia long before 2022. If Europe were a classroom, Poland would be the kid in the front row yelling, "See, I told you so," while Germany and France quietly avoid eye contact. The big picture. So, why does Moscow watch Poland so closely? Because Poland is no longer just another neighbor. It's NATO's frontline shield, Europe's fastest-growing military power, and a historic rival Russia has never been able to bend. For centuries, Poland was the chessboard where empires fought. Now, it has flipped the script, from pawn to fortress, standing tall between Russia and the West. When Moscow looks west, it no longer sees just flat plains. It sees a wall of tanks, jets, rockets, and NATO troops dug in across the land. Most importantly, it sees something satellites can't measure: Polish resolve. The memory of invasions, occupations, and betrayals is hardened into a national doctrine. Never again. That's what makes Poland so dangerous in Moscow's eyes. It's not just the weapons, it's the willpower. Poland has turned centuries of hardship into fuel for strength. And that's why Poland isn't in Russia's crosshairs because it's weak, but because it's become too strong, too loud, and too central to ignore.